Hello and welcome to my new channel. The basis for this channel will be to discuss various gym programs, to give nutritional advice, and to give science-backed exercise advice to ensure you can achieve the highest productivity both in and out of the gym as possible. My main aim for this channel is to inform new gym goers of how to train quote unquote properly, but also I believe it's a basis for me to learn more myself. Whilst using this boring but big training program, I mainly use the 5-3-1 variation, so most of my opinions will be based upon this variation, so please take this into account. As well as this, I'll be showing and explaining the noticeable changes in my strength and hypertrophy during the 3 times I've used this training program. I'll be mainly showing this throughout some photos and other things throughout this video. And finally, I'll shed some light on how this whole program fit into my daily life and kind of how experienced you'd have to be to use this training program, because I wouldn't necessarily recommend this to a beginner gym goer, but I'll mention more about this later on in the video. When you're first starting out with Boring But Big, I recommend you come to this website that I'll leave in the description, because it gives you a lot of examples that may seem very basic, but they most probably will help you if you're more of a beginner gym goer. And it also gives you a lot of different variations, just some generic ones that you may not be familiar with. Also, I will leave this in the description as well. This spreadsheet is very useful. It also gives you a lot of assistance work prompts, especially for overhead press, because I know when I was starting, overhead press was a bit more unfamiliar to me. So things like shrugs may be very well known, but French press and the JM press, I did not have a clue what they were before I started. But bench and deadlift, people may know more about those kind of things. And if you also come down to the cycles here, you can effectively see that it's a progressive overload system. So we're starting with 93 as just the input on each weight. And by the end of the cycling, you can see how much they go up just on the original weighing system. So you can kind of input your numbers at the top here and it will filter them through the cycles to work out what weights you should be hitting each session. You can also see here in week 4 of every cycle there's a deload week, which I found very beneficial for rest and recovery, because these 7 cycles of 4 weeks can get very taxing if there aren't regular scheduled breaks every month or so. So as you can see here, once every 4 weeks. But instead of completely dropping off your training, I found that deloading still kept my mind active in terms of the gym, and with these cycles it kind of helped me loop around and get back to the start of the next cycle. In terms of strength and hypertrophy now, before my first attempt at Boring But Big using the 5-3-1 program, I believe my squat 1 rep max was around 110, and after just 3 cycles my squat was up 30-40 kilograms, up to roughly 145-150 as a 1 rep max. Now whilst simply just training squats will up your 1 rep max, I believe this program did help me in terms of structure and ensuring I'd go to the gym 3 or 4 times a week at a minimum. So if you're someone that struggles with that, then I'd 100% recommend this training program. Also, with lifts like squats and deadlifts, I always used to struggle with volume before this program, but as you can see, the sheer volume of squats that I was now able to do because of the week in, week out 5x10s that you'll get accustomed to if you do this program help you with this volume problem. You could say these squats here are quite quick in terms of form, but with the added volume
at quite a high rep max, I found it fine to quote unquote skimp on some form as long as you maintain the basic principles of adequate depth. And now, in terms of weight and hypertrophy, weight specifically, this was before and after my first attempt at boring but big. It wasn't just filtered around the boring but big, because there was a big gap before and after, but I certainly put on a much more muscle mass and looked like I'd actually gone to the gym. And these videos now were my second attempt at boring but big. I'd say in terms of the gym, this is probably the best gym I've been at to attempt this. The weights weren't as high as they were the first or the third time. But again, just from the structure of it and setting out the Excel spreadsheet in such a way that I can go in day out for 4 days a week to complete it, I found it very easy. Also, I found my gym activity became much more regular when I was documenting what my training was. So as you can see in some of these videos, I've got a notepad out, but this can be a bit harder to do as most people have a phone to do so. So I'd recommend the app Strong, which you can get for free on the App Store or any phone, I believe, which I'd definitely recommend. In terms of fitting this into my everyday life, factors such as where your gym are, how easy it is to get to, and 9 to 5 jobs, things like that, it does depend on that. But I'd say this program is slightly harder to fit into your everyday because the workouts can be much longer. As I say, I usually did 4 days a week with this program, and in terms of the 4 days at university, it was quite easy. But I'd say if you're working a job, which I am now, it's much harder to filter these in, and boring but big can be a bit harder if you have less free time. I'd say this is primarily down to the amount of volume you have to push for. So the 5x10s, things such as that, do push up the amount of time. But if you are able to commit enough time to this, it's 100% beneficial. I'd say something that definitely helped me through some of the harder days was a training partner. If, again, this is for more beginner and new people to the gym, a training partner can be absolutely vital to your success, especially if you're both at the same point in your gym journey. And finally, I'd say you could probably use this routine at any stage of training, but I would recommend from between beginner to intermediate, probably just using the website if you're a beginner, and moving up to using apps such as Strong and Excel for a more intermediate feel to it. I believe that either of these could probably reap some benefits of this program. Despite having been to the gym on and off for a decade now, I will probably come back to this routine a lot, especially when I'm trying to bulk. I'd 100% recommend it in the more wintry seasons. In terms of cutting, the lack of calories to cut might make it much harder to facilitate this kind of training. So bulking does lend itself much easier to this kind of training. Despite this, I would still give it a go if you're currently in the cutting season. It being February at the moment is kind of a crossover period, so there's probably people in both areas currently, but people are probably still generally bulking. Having just given exercise advice in this video, I am also very interested in the nutritional side, as the majority of progress, I would say, can come from nutrition if it's done properly. So the next few videos will kind of show you some nutritional information to supplement this exercise advice, as it is 100% vital to your success. Having now covered these 4 points, I hope you've got a bit more of an understanding of how this
boring but big program works, along with the variation of the 5-3-1. Any changes in strength and hypertrophy that I've seen can definitely be seen by most people that take this program. A little bit of an insight into the daily life and how it works alongside either a job or university, and my recommendations for how much experience you should have in the gym to be able to undertake this program. I have left my gym Instagram in the description, along with a load of other links surrounding this program. Thank you for watching.